I am so excited to be joined by David Lee of David Lee Photography and E-Ticket Art. And if you've been following along, we have a special giveaway of one of his slides. And so, what better way than to have this conversation about one, who is David Lee? What is his amazing photography all about? And what is this amazing slide all about that we're going to be giving away? So much to dive into. But first, welcome, David, to our little interview.
Thank you, Amanda. Great to see you again, and thank you for having me. This is going to be fun.
Yes, I'm so excited. So, I have been a fan of yours for a long time now, and I don't even know your story. So, I would love to know, like, how did you discover this love of photography, not just, of Disneyland, but in general? Like, what started your love for photography?
So it goes back probably to when I was in junior high. My parents were really into photography. There was that photography boom back in the 70s, and we were fortunate enough that we built a dark room in the house. So, every kid's dream at the time, right? Taking pictures, be able to develop them yourself. So we developed our own film, prints, enlargements, had a great time there. So I enjoyed the process. And as far as the love of taking pictures and like developing my style, that probably came a few years later. More when I think I got married and started taking some classes at some local colleges, reading up on the craft, reading magazines, and really enjoying a specific style of photography. And that style was more of the abstract, more of colors and shapes. I took a art appreciation course in college and learned all about Picasso and the Cubist movement and all that. And I just love finding those kind of details in the everyday world. So with that, I started emulating people's styles. Ansel Adams, big fan, right? Edward Weston, they were peers at the time. Beautiful, simple photography. And then I came across a gentleman, Canadian-born photographer named Freeman Patterson. And Freeman had an article in some of the local magazines, and he had a very simplistic approach to photography. And I really learned about shapes and negative space and lines and texture and all that. And I just fell in love with that. And I tried to emulate that style. And I started doing that, like you said, outside of Disneyland. But then when we got the annual passes, as many folks did back in the 80s, that brought us over to Disneyland. And my love of Disneyland, my love of photography just blended together. And I started doing the same type of photography there and just loved it.
Well, that makes so much sense. I can definitely see the inspiration that you've gathered, not just from those role models and kind of legends in the field of photography, but also applying it to daily life and then applying it to Disneyland. And looking at your art is just, it really makes you stop and appreciate the details, which is what we're all about.
Right.
But to really stop and appreciate the beauty of it. It's not like for us it's testing your knowledge of the park, but with the different angles that you have and the colors that you bring out in your art, it really allows you to just stop and appreciate the beauty that is Disneyland. And I I love that about you. And I'm so curious, like, what was your very first visit to a Disney park and like what was that experience like for you?
So my very first visit, I was about 18 months old, long, long time ago. I don't have any memories of the visit per se, but we have some photographs to prove that I was there. So my parents had a great time taking me, they said. You don't remember those things when you're young, but a few years later, they brought me back, and I do remember that visit. I was about 5 or 6. My favorite memory was getting a picture taken with Baloo in the park because he stood, what looked like 8 feet tall to me at the time. And the Jungle Book was a favorite of mine, still is. I just love that character. And just the memories of standing next to Baloo and getting my picture taken with him, just still have those to this day. So just love it.
That's awesome. And that's why Blue's your favorite character, right?
There you go.
I love it. That is so awesome. And that's what Disney in general, but Disneyland is all about, is like making those core memories that last forever, you know?
Yes, I
That's
do.
awesome. So let's dive into your work. So you have e-ticket art.
Mhm.
And how did that come to be? Like, how do you take, your love for photography into a business?
I think like anything that's worth doing, it's going to evolve and improve. And, as you put your life and soul and heart and love into it. And this is kind of the same thing. So with my uh, photography that I was doing for assignments in class when I was taking those courses, I really liked the images so much that I decided to enlarge them, mat them, frame them, and see if other people had the same love that I did of this type of art. And I was fortunate enough to be invited to a art show that they held at Downtown Disney in 2010, September, I believe. And it was put on by the Anaheim Art Association. So I got a booth, bunch of printed photographs, and hung them all up on the grid walls, and said, welcome, what do you people think? And sure enough, people came in, and they liked the photography, and many folks loved the images. And of course, being on a Disney property, most of the folks were akin to going the Disney route. So the Disney stuff started kind of popping off. They're just like, hey, we like this, we like this, like, so okay, so they like the Disney stuff. I can get that. But before we even got the show set up, I was thinking if there was something else I could like offer at the show other than just matted photos, because photos are photos, people hang them up, and it's kind of neat. But I guess we're kind of out of the box thinkers here, and thought, what else can I do? And I had an old replica of the ticket book ABCDE that we used to use in the parks, and I have fond memories, as a kid. I'm sure you're too young to remember the tickets, but I've seen pictures. Um, so I thought, what can I do with a ticket other than take a picture of it and just put it in a frame? That means nothing. So I went to my daughter, Kristen, who was enrolled at Chapman at the time. She was getting her graphic design degree. And I said, Kristen, what can I do with this ticket? And sure enough, right at that time, she was taking a class where she had to take an everyday item and make a working version, but larger. So she had to make it much, much bigger. And she made a mousetrap that was about 2 feet long, a working mousetrap. So set it, trigger it, bang, actually worked. And it was really cool. So at the time, she said, well, Dad, all I can think of is just make it bigger. Like, okay, let me give that a shot. So there started the ticket books. We made our very first one, which was about 3 feet long. It's our large, we call it, because it is pretty large. And it's 3-dimensional. So it's not just a flat image, it's stepped up. And we put it in a large shadow box suitable for framing. And we got so much interest in that I even created a smaller one, a more practical version, thanks to a friend of mine who suggested, you need to come up with something that people can hang on their walls. Nobody has 3 feet of wall space these days. Even though I can find a spot. Yeah, it was popular, and we actually sold a couple at the show, and we've been selling the smaller ticket books ever since, a few large ones every now and then. So that's how we got the kind of the e-ticket art logo, because of the ticket books. And my friend that suggested that I make the smaller version, he's also the one that came up with the e-ticket art name. and we got the website, and we've been going there ever since. So
Wow, that is awesome. I had no idea about that backstory. I've seen the
yeah,
ticket books,
yeah,
but to hear that, I mean, everything just fell into place at the right time, with your daughter having that mindset because she was having that the courses right there. And to put that into what problem that you were trying to solve with these ticket books.
yeah,
That's crazy. That's just so amazing. I
yeah.
love that. So you started off with the prints and then you went to the ticket books and had both of those. So when did the slides come in?
Slides came in just a little bit later. Again, I wanted to kind of change things up and come up with new ideas. And many of the folks that come and visit our booth would say, "We like the old stuff. Do you have any old pictures of Disneyland? Things that remind me of my childhood when things were simpler, when the crowds weren't as bad as they are these days." And it kind of, I had to struggle with that because I only had a handful of images from my own images from the 80s when I was in class and taking these pictures. And I wanted to be true to the craft and only offer my images. I wanted to be my art and do something with that and make it original. So struggling with only having a handful of these images from the 80s and nothing really older, I thought, what else can I do? And same thing, trying to come up with something. I just happened to be reading a book one day, and there was a little line in the book, and it said, people tend to enjoy the things that remind them of their childhood, that remind them of the earlier times, the nostalgia piece. And I thought, well, if I can't show a nostalgic image, maybe I can show the image in a nostalgic way. And all of my childhood was visually captured on Kodachrome slides, as I think a lot of other folks that grew up in the 60s had the same experience. Slides and slides and slides. Yes, there we go. I think there are 2x2 is the actual Kodachrome slide that Kodak made back in the day, and we had hundreds and hundreds of these slides, and of our lives, and I thought, well, I'm going to take my images, even if they're new, and come up with some slides. And it's got to be something that you can easily see without a projector, something that you don't need to put in a little carousel and project on a wall or a screen. So yeah, the 4-inch slide is one of our more popular ones for like the tabletop versions. The first version was the bigger ones, which are almost 15 by 15 square. We had some that were hanging on the wall, some that could sit on a tabletop, and again, those were a hit, and people asked for something a little bit more manageable for tabletops, like as you have yours displayed. So we have the large, which is still a good seller, and we have the smaller ones in the 4-inch size.
Well, I love my slide, our slide of the World of Color, near and dear to our heart, and to have a a tabletop way to backlight it is amazing. And I know that the Zoom doesn't really do it justice, but when you see it in person, it just is gorgeous. And it is such a clever way to have that nostalgic piece, like the when you see it in person, it captivates a feeling.
Mhm.
And when you have something like this that also can captivate that same feeling is truly remarkable. And so I just love these so much. And our World of Color one, as I've mentioned before, is we have it set so when we turn on our bedroom light, it also triggers the light box. And we have a World of Color little table in our room because that's where Kevin and I met. And so that's kind of our origin story. And so to have that shining a beacon of light, it's not super bright, but it's the right amount of light for the image to captivate all of the colors. It just brings us so much joy every single night. So I love this idea. And you make these light boxes yourself, right?
I do. Yes, everything we make here is handmade. We do it here in, in my garage. I have you know, I set up time through the year to put these together. I want it to, like you said, be visually appealing. I want the colors to be accurate. So we try really hard to, to make it beautiful, basically, the slides, the photographs. We want people to enjoy those memories and those times, and share those stories with their kids. And when we do the Disneyana shows and the art fairs, parents will walk by our booth with their kids and they'll point at a ticket book and say, see, that's what I was telling you. That's where e-ticket ride came from. That from those things. And the kids are like, oh, that's kind of neat. Or again, the slides, they see the Kodachrome slides and they say, boy, we took slides when you were small. And, we got them in the closet, haven't looked at them in years, but that's what that is, So yeah, it sparks the conversations, it sparks the memories, it sparks the feelings. And, it's wonderful when people come and they can enjoy that, and we can share stories with them and we get to hear their stories too. That's what it's all about.
Absolutely. And if you have never seen his booth in person, go. It is, well, especially the Disneyana one, that's where we met, and your location is perfect because you round the corner and like you see this wall of light,
Yeah.
and it is so captivating, and you want to just stop and like really appreciate each and every slide of your big slides, the smaller slides, the matted works. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
kudos to you, and especially knowing that you've built every single one of these.
Yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I would love to know your like how your brain works as you're going around Disney and taking pictures of everything. Like, what is your process for finding these details and like what angle to shoot it at and all of that?
Yeah, it's quite a process, I would say. So to try and refine it, I'll do my best, because what it is, it's probably dozens and dozens of thoughts all going through my head at the same time. But if I can maybe simplify it, I think the first thing that it is dependent on is what lens or lenses am I bringing into the park that day, because that will dictate what type of visual image you're going to take home with you. So if you take a long lens, you will be taking pictures of shapes, of texture, a lot of things that are close up. Long lenses will compress images, will compress things together, will sandwich them right on top of each other. So it leaves you with raw shapes and colors. So when you have the long lens, that's what you need to have the eye for when you're in the park. If I'm there with my super wide angle lens, that's more of a dramatic lens. You're going to be getting dramatic things that are enlarged in one area, big dramatic, subject, and then tapers off to something off in the distance. So it shows you space, it shows you distance, and it can show you can like exaggerate the lines and patterns that exist out there in the park. And so I don't bring a whole backpack in these days. I'll bring the one camera with the one lens, because it's easy to get back in the park if I want to shoot something else. If I see something that should actually be shot with a wide angle lens, then I'll come back the next day with a wide angle lens, and I'll just make a note in my phone and come back and shoot that. But I have three basic kind of routines when I go. I either have the sit and wait and look for something, or I have the walk around and see what hits me, or I have the it's planned, I'm going to go shoot the dark rides and just take as much as I can while the thing's moving around type plan. So the sit and wait, sometimes if I got the time, I'll just sit with the lens and I'll just plant myself like in Tomorrowland and just look at the people, look at the shapes, look at the rides. And after you sit there for a while, the things that you have seen all the time and haven't noticed start to be noticed. You start to pull up those things that, oh, I didn't know that was there. I didn't know that door was there. I didn't know that rail was there. You start to see it because you're not just rushing to the next ride, rushing to get your food, running from one place to another, worried about the traffic. These things start to just fall right in your lap. And then that's when you capture them. So,
I love that. And that's what we stress as well at We're in the Park of like, just stop.
yeah,
Just stop and appreciate the park for all that it is.
yeah,
And there's nothing quite like literally planting yourself
yeah,
somewhere, somewhere in the park and just observing,
yeah.
and it is so true that when you just stop and let the world around you fully embrace you, things start popping up that you never noticed.
Mhm.
And we do the same thing with our game packs when we're looking for those details. All of a sudden, these other details will pop in,
Yeah,
and we'll go, "Wait, what? No way! I've passed this millions of times, it seems, and I've never noticed that was there."
exactly.
So I totally know that feeling you're talking about,
Yeah.
and I just want to share that feeling with everyone who will listen because it is such a different way to experience Disneyland.
Yeah.
And there's so much detail. You can be
Yeah,
there for a while.
there's no way you can see it all or experience it all, but just by sitting down for a couple minutes and not planning to do anything and just open yourself up, you're amazed at what falls in your lap. Yeah.
So true. So I've always had this question. Is there an image that took you like forever? Talking about like sitting there and waiting for a long time, like that just to get that perfect shot or the right angle, with people walking by or something like that. Like, is there an image that took you a really long time to capture?
There's one that comes to mind. Yes. It's the three tulips shot that I have on Main Street, right at the base of the flagpole. I was in the park one, I'm sure, spring with the tulips blooming, and they had beautiful yellow and red tulips that were planted all over Main Street at the entry, right there by Town Square. And the sun was probably around noon. It was high in the sky, and I wanted to get a shot of these yellow tulips backlit by the sun because the color in the tulips is amazing, first of all, but let alone trying to get the sun come through and have it backlit and shooting up was awesome. So I wanted to get this shot, but the tulips were only maybe, I don't know, a foot off the ground, if that. There was the little railing that's a couple feet off there that goes around the flagpole. And I had to get down on my hands and knees and take this shot. Well, luckily, digital photography makes it easier because you can take a shot and see if you succeeded or not. And if not, you take another one. Well, I must have taken 50 or 60 of this one shot to try and get it right. And the camera I had at the time just had the screen in the back of the camera. So when I was taking it and shooting up, I couldn't see what I was taking because the screen was basically shooting it to the ground. Now they have cameras that have flip up screens and you can see your image. You can point it right at you and you don't have to do that. So I would put it down there and take it like, nope, didn't get enough sun. Put it down again, take it, nope, it's crooked, take it, nope. I just was doing that the whole time. Finally, I got one that I was happy with. And it's one of the images that I offer today. But yeah, that one took a long time.
Wow. I And that spot's hard too because you have that's a big photo op spot
Yeah.
with the people taking pictures down Main Street or there's characters around. So that's a busy area too. So
Yeah.
I can totally picture you there being there for a long time though,
Yeah,
trying to get that
lot
perfect
of
shot.
activity going on there. Yeah, I planned it myself and people walking around me the whole time trying to get this shot, but I was determined to get it. I just knew what it would look like when I got it. So you visualize it in your head first, and then you have to take the picture that matches the image that's in your head. So that's why I just kept going, kept going, and finally got it. So,
I love that. And the result is amazing. Totally worth it.
yeah.
I think. Yeah, you might have other thoughts like sitting there for so long, but I think it turned out amazing.
Yeah.
So Well
Yeah,
done. Way to
thank you.
persevere.
Yes, and when people see the image at the Disneyana shows, they don't know that it took so long, got sore knees, that kind of thing. Like, oh, that's pretty. So if they're interested in it, I tell them, I let them know what I went through.
Good. They need to know. Is there something in the park that you've always wanted to take a picture of, but like it just hasn't been in the cards to do yet?
I need to get myself over when it opens back in May to Fantasmic. I need to
Mm,
take some pictures over there. I've had a lot of folks ask for Fantasmic pictures because so many people just love that show and it's amazing and it's beautiful and fun and scary all at the same time. It's really nice. And I've kind of avoided it because it would take some time to get the right spot, to camp out, to get the right equipment and take that. But not until just recently do I think I have a camera that's uh, suited enough for the low light photography there. And I have the lenses that I think I can capture it well. And that just all happened recently. So, but of course, the attraction is closed down for now for a bit. But when it opens back up, got the equipment, got the stamina, got the time, I'm going to go do it.
that is going to be amazing, and I can totally picture that backlit
Yes.
with the slides. That is going to be beautiful. Cannot
Yeah.
wait for that.
Yeah, a lot of people have been asking about the Mickey with the fireworks and
Mhm.
the dragon, because you will have that brightness with the fire and the fireworks, and then the darkness with the behind that. So yeah, I can imagine it'll be some pretty nice slides when we get those.
Absolutely. Can't wait. So, do you know if there's been any Disney Imagineers or celebrities who have purchased your art?
Yes, one in particular. It was about our third or fourth Disneyana show, and I had the small ticket books out there, and had one right up in front. And this gentleman with red hair walks up and points at the ticket book and says, "I want to get one of those." Like, okay, great. So we rang it up, packaged it up, put bubble wrap on it, got it all nice and safe, put it in a bag, sold it to him. He walked away, and my wife looked at me and says, "That was Tony Baxter."
Oh
And
my
I'm like,
gosh.
"You mean the Tony Baxter?" She says, "Yeah, that was Tony Baxter." I'm like, "Well, I didn't get a picture with him." She's like, "Well, it's too late now." Like, no, it's not. So me being me, I grabbed one of the ticket books that I had at the table, tracked him down and said, "Tony, I'm sorry. Would you mind taking a picture with the ticket book? I didn't get it when you were over there." He's like, "Okay, sure." He goes, "Oh, I don't even need to unwrap mine. You brought another one." So we used one that I had. He kept his in the bag, and we got a picture with Tony Baxter. And he said he was going to hang it up in his office. At the time, he was working for Disney. So I thought, what an honor that my ticket book is hanging up in Tony Baxter's office at the Disney company. I heard later that he's a huge ticket book fan, right? Collector.
Mhm.
I think the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, the Opera House, I think had a number of tickets that were from his collection when they were showing them off a few years back. So he's an avid ticket book collector, and no doubt why he wanted that when he came in and just knew right away. So that was special. That still is special. I still get goosebumps thinking about it.
That is amazing. I would lose my mind if he even just stopped by our booth, let alone like actually purchase something and then to know that it is hanging up in his
Yeah.
office. Oh my gosh, what an
Right.
honor.
Yeah.
That's
Completely.
amazing,
Yeah.
man. Well, do you have a favorite slide or favorite matted print that is in your collection?
So that's like asking which is my favorite kid, right?
Right?
There's so many, and I love them for all so many reasons. If I can maybe kind of narrow it down, I would say I do still like the abstract images that I get in the park. I like the non-traditional stuff. Um, I took a picture of the wall to the left of the Buzz Lightyear entrance,
Hmm.
Tomorrowland. It's just shapes and gray and black colors. There's nothing else there. Visually, that kind of inspires me and entertains me. The pictures I take of the water drain grates all over the park, and here's some of the nuances that you mentioned you see when you're not looking for something in the park and you just let it fall in your lap. And I know your mom Kim also knows about these grates, and as do you and Kevin.
Hmm.
Um, they're beautiful. It's a great to take the water runoff when they wash down the street or when it rains, but they're so ornate and they're so artistic and they're just gorgeous. And the couple that I have that I took pictures of were right after a rainstorm had happened. The clouds broke, the sun came in, and the sun reflected so brightly off that metal. That's what caught my eye. I was just walking, like, man, what is that? And I walked up to it, like, oh, it's great. And then I realized, oh my gosh, this is gorgeous. This is a piece of art. And you're walking on it all day long and you don't even pay any attention to it. It's amazing.
That is so true. And again, it was just by chance that you happen to come across this, but you've trained your eyes to see the details. And I think that's also something that we try and convey all the time too, of like, this is a park, Disneyland in particular, it's a park that is filled with details,
Mhm.
and you just have to open your eyes and be open to what is around you. And like you said, you cannot take in everything in one day. It's not possible.
Yeah.
And there's always something new to explore and discover. And in your case, it just happened to have rained and the sun hit just so. And it sparked this magical moment for you. And it became one of your favorite pieces,
Yeah.
and talk about Disney magic. Like, that is Disney magic to me, those, like, maybe one other person has experienced that particular situation,
Mhm.
and to know that you captured it is just amazing. That's amazing to me.
And it's so wonderful when we're at the shows and folks walk up and they look at that image and they say, I know what that is. I know where that is. Like, really? They said, yeah, I know exactly where that is. So they see the same things. And
Mhm.
then we sit there and we talk forever because, they kind of have the same eye, the same love of the abstract. And it's neat when other people share that same fascination.
Absolutely, and that's why we're friends.
Exactly.
We definitely share that. Absolutely. So, all right, let's get into the slide and the giveaway. So, this here is what we're giving away for our Standby Quest sweepstakes this month. So, it is of Sleeping Beauty Castle at Christmas time with all of the lights and the garland, and it is just gorgeous with this the light box behind it. And I would love to know, like, when was this particular image taken, and what's the story behind it?
Yeah, there's always a story behind everything, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. And when you purchase one of my pieces, you always get the story. So that image was taken 5 years ago, obviously
Okay.
at Christmas time.
Hmm.
And that spot is very special to me and my wife because that's where, back in 1984, I proposed to her right in front of the castle at that spot, right there by the water. Caught her completely off guard. She had no idea that I was carrying a ring around in my pocket all day long. But we love that spot, and I know it's one of the most photographed spots in Disneyland because just the framing of the trees to the top left and the bushes to the right, and just the angle of the castle. It's beautiful, and at Christmas, it's just even more so. So beautiful area, beautiful image. I just had to take that, and again, one of the more popular images that we have. People just love the castle in Disneyland at Christmas time, and oh, there you go, that comes up.
There it is.
Yeah. So yeah, again, just reminding you of wonderful times and beautiful memories.
I love that. I had no idea that that was the story behind this image. I love that so much.
Yeah, nowadays, many people are proposing at the park. It's a kind of a thing, right? Back then, I swear I was the only one that did it because I came up with the idea just out of the blue. But yeah, it's when Disneyland means so much to people, what a place to make that commitment.
Absolutely. Uh, that's our story too. Like I said, we met at the World of Color, and that's
Yes,
where Kevin proposed as well. Same spot. Just a few years afterward. So um, Disney has a special place in all of our hearts, but especially when, like you said, you make that commitment and you're able to share those memories. It is just it makes it even more magical.
and
So
I had no idea when I took that photo that a few years down the line we'd be here. You know.
absolutely, right? It's crazy. It's crazy how the world works.
Hmm.
So, if you want to win this slide and the light box, all you have to do is a couple things. One, you're going to go to um, David Lee Photography on Facebook, right?
Right.
And there is a post that like has the We're in the Park logo. And you're going to just one, follow him, two, like the post, and answer the question, which is super simple. What is your favorite attraction? Pretty simple, unless you have like seven favorite attractions and you have to narrow it down. But answer that,
Yep.
follow him, and then just play our standby quest games like you normally would. And you will get some entries into the drawing. So for the standby quest, each correct answer will get you two entries. Incorrect answers get you one entry as a thank you for playing.
Hmm.
And then if you comment on the post over at David Lee Photography over on Facebook, you get five entries. Super simple. There's no reason not to. And then we will be drawing the winning name for this Kodachrome slide of Sleeping Beauty's Castle at Christmas time on December 1st. And then we will ship it all to you and it's ready to go. You just got to plug it in and it's all set. So, David, thank you so much for
Oh, thank
joining
you,
us.
Amanda. Oh, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
This has been so much fun and I've learned so much. Now I want to go back and like go back through the park and go to your website and like really find all of these images that you've taken and see if I know where in the park.
Yeah.
So, where can people find you?
It's real easy. Like you said, David Lee Photography on Facebook, or even easier, my website, eticketart.com. All one word strung together, real simple. We have our upcoming show, which I'm sure you're going to be at in April. We're going to be there in Disneyana, the Disney Expo. April 21st, I believe, is the date, 2024. So we'll have our booth set up there. We'll have all of our small slides, large slides, matted photographs, which we didn't even talk about. But all that is shown on my site. We have a new store that we just put up a couple weeks ago. You can order almost everything that I have in my catalog now, making it real easy for everybody on matted prints and the smaller slides. And we'll be getting some ticket books up there real soon. Currently making some right now for the next show and for the website. But yeah, eticketart.com is the easiest way. And I got my phone number there, my email. Just want to talk, just want to share stories. Give me a call. I'm the one that answers the phone. So love meeting new people, love sharing Disney stories. Be great to meet some new friends.
I love that. Definitely check out his website. There is so much to explore, different size matted prints, which we totally didn't even talk about, but there is so much. There's rectangle ones, big ones, small ones, some the size of your head even. And there I was pouring through the website and there's some things that you have in there that are no longer at the parks. And so back to that nostalgic feel, like even for me, you know, that it's still fairly recent, but it's still the nostalgic Disneyland that I know, you
Yeah.
know? So there's so much to explore, and they make fantastic gifts. And Christmas time is right around the corner. So
Yes,
this
it
is
is.
like a one-stop shop for every Disney fan on your list or even for yourself. So go to eticketart.com, explore all that David has to offer, and yeah, give him a call. Share your stories.
Yeah. Let's talk. I'd enjoy it.
Awesome. Well, David, thank you so much again for joining me and chatting about your work. And yeah, until next time, we'll see you
Yeah.
somewhere in the park.
All right. Thanks, Amanda. Bye bye.